Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today for our special interactive session with Hertfordshire Business School. This session is all about personal and professional development with a focus on the UK. Now, just before we start, I will take you through some of the buttons that you can use to interact with us. I'm Kat and I'm from the International Office. So you'll see on your screen you've got a chat and a Q&A button. If you do have any questions for the panel, please use the Q&A, post as many questions as you want throughout the session. We will be typing some answers as we go, but also after the presentation and the interactive session, we will be going to Q&A, so we'll be asking some of your questions live as well. Do just be mindful not to post any of your personal details in the chat, just because it is a live open session as well, but you can use that to speak to each other, say hello to your future fellow classmates as well. But now what I'll do then, I will stop sharing and I'll pass to my colleagues from the business school who've got a great session in store for you.
Thanks so much, Kat.
Right, just get the slides up. Right.
So hi everybody, I'm Chandra and with me today is Martha, and Martha and I work very, very closely together, as you can see from this photo, which was taken only last week. So I'm Chandra and I'm a senior lecturer and I've worked at the uni for quite a long time, and I'm a deputy on the MSc Management programme.
And I'm Martha. I have worked in academia for 6 years. I'm coming from industry. I'm currently a senior lecturer at Hertfordshire Business School, also a deputy on the MSc Management programme, module leader on a number of modules, post and undergrad, and I'm also the student arrivals champion. Welcome.
So workshop goals for today, and what we hope you'll get by the end of the session, is that you'll have a better of an understanding of what is expected in the UK from a personal professional development perspective. Know what you need to do for your, well, let's call it PPD, and understand what the university offers in terms of support and guidance. So as you're deciding, just to give you the information that we provide, and know what actions you can take. So in one word, if everyone can scan the Menti or type in menti.com and use the code, how do you feel about studying abroad in the UK?
So some of you might not have used Menti before, but this is a great tool that you'll probably find you use quite a lot in your lectures and classes as well. So it's a great practice just to get familiar with it. So if you can sign in on your phone, then you can join in. So just go to menti.com or scan the QR code if you're not on your phone.
Thanks, Kat. I forgot about that.
Okay, so I assume everybody's scanned the barcode. I can start the presentation.
I'll just put it in the chat in case anyone hasn't quite
scanned it.
Yeah. So once you've done that, just in one word, how do you feel about studying abroad in the UK?
So you've got 9 people signed on. Nice.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Get a chance to grow. As Kat said, we use Menti a lot at the university. So this is really good practice for you. And it's also nice, you know, it's anonymous in this sense. So you can, you know, I always say be professional and courteous, but this is your opportunity to be honest and say, how do you feel? So excited, exciting.
Transformative. Yeah. That's a good one.
Very good.
Looking forward to learn. Brilliant. Okay. Looking forward to study. That's nice.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear.
Excellent. Great.
Nice. Okay, I think we're going to
Yeah,
move
okay.
on. So we've got quite a few mentees. So if anyone didn't quite make it, please don't worry. You'll get another opportunity. But again, just be on the mentee.com. And then when you get the code, if the barcode isn't working, then you can always just type in the code and then you'll be able to participate.
So, oops, it is. Sorry, the tech is teching. Okay, right, sorry. So types of concerns.
Oh,
sorry. Okay, there we go. Okay.
So the types of things that we've heard over the years, and like, Martha and I have worked together on MSc management for over the last 3 years. So all the things that we've heard from international students are things like, we've got England is known for its fish and chips and the weather. So, financial strain, academic pressure, culture shock and isolation, homesickness, accommodation, food, hence the picture, weather, okay, work restrictions on hours and relevant work, and further study. So these are the types of things that students have talked about. So it's lovely to hear that you're excited, but it's also, these are the types of things that often students sometimes face when they get here, because it is exciting, but it's also big change, culture shock, and things like that.
So I'll take over from you, Chandra. So understanding the UK context. So if you could all scan the barcode before I move over to the mentee, because I noticed we left a few people behind. So if you're wondering what you need to do, just take your phone. I don't know, it depends on the kind of phone you have. If you go to your camera, it will pick up the barcode, or if you have a barcode reader, pick that up. And then if you could just tell us, if your lecturer were to say to you, this could be improved, what does that really mean in your understanding? So we'll get the mentee up. I'll just give you a chance to all scan the barcode first. Before I move over to the mentee. Okay, so 12 people have joined. I'm going to let you guys scan the barcode before I put the mentee up on the screen.
I've also put the code in the chat.
Brilliant.
If anyone wants to, you can join. So remember, it's just mentee.com, and then you type in the code 11771092, all in the chat for anyone.
14 people out of 71. Come on, guys. Scan the barcode. Scan the barcode. We want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I can pop it up on the screen for the sake of time now. Okay, bro. So your lecturer says this could be improved. According to you, what do you think this really means? So you've got a few options that pop up on your screen phone. Could you select what you think the answer is? For those of you that still haven't gotten the barcode, you can plonk it up. You can take it off the screen. So 20, it's going up. What does this mean to you? This could be improved. So does this mean the work is too descriptive? Does it mean there is a lack of, there is lack of flow in your work, connecting to all your sections if you've written a report or if you've written an essay? Does it mean if you wanted to gain higher marks, you need to do X, Y, Z, whatever that would be in terms of guidance? Do you need to be more analytical? What does this mean? So we've got 14 responses. You need to select an answer from the answers that appear in front of you. And just as Chandra has said, this is the kind of learning that you'd be expecting if you were to come to the university. It's not just death by PowerPoint. You would learn, you'd have an activity, and we want to hear back from you a lot. So it's actually a two-way flow of information. So you get a little bit of information, you go and do a little bit of your own work, but most importantly, we want some feedback from you to make sure that we're following your understanding and that you are understanding. Okay, so let's have a look at what the answer is. So all of them are correct. So more academic sources needed to support your line of argument to demonstrate greater breadth and depth of knowledge and understanding. The work is too descriptive. There's a lack of flow in your work. If you wanted to gain higher marks, you obviously go and meet your lecturers to understand what it is you need to do, and more analysis is needed. Okay, so let's move on from that. So what kind of academic culture should you be expecting when you come to the UK? I can always speak from my own experience. So besides the little introduction that I gave, I was originally born and raised in Zimbabwe. When I turned 19, my parents shipped me off, as they do, to university. And as you can imagine, it was quite a shock because the academic system back home was completely different. I went to Middlesex University, was completely different from this brand new system that no longer required me to write tests, that expected me to submit assignments through Canvas or Turnitin, etc., and talked about things like plagiarism that I'd never heard of. So the academic culture that you'd be expecting stepping into a UK higher education institution is completely different. But I'm here, I'm fine. So nothing to worry about and nothing to be afraid of. You have a lot of support from the university. So once you come into the UK HE, you're expected to do, particularly if you're going into a higher level of learning, particularly your master's students, etc., even your UG, you're expected to do a lot more independent learning. So it's not just, like I said, a case where you go to the classroom and you have a little notebook and you're writing notes and trying to keep up with the lecturer, but you're expected to do a lot of your own reading and extensive research outside of the lectures and outside of the seminars. In fact, you may have 200 hours allocated to a module. Most of that will be your own independent learning, right? And critical thinking. The whole point of you coming to the universities, you have a certain base knowledge, or at least that's the expectation. You probably need a little bit more. So we expect that the difference between somebody who hasn't done a UG, an undergraduate degree, a PG, a postgraduate degree, and somebody that's just done high school level, is that you're able to apply critical thinking to any given problem. So again, these are some of the things that we expect. In terms of assessment style, like I said, we've stepped away from the traditional tests and sitting down in rows of 200 and trying to cover your work, to a more essay, report-based writing, group project. And it's really, really, really interesting at UH because we have a lot of simulations rather than exams. We still have exams, but simulations are where we sort of take a real life situation, we put it in front of you and we try and mimic that. So it's really good because it gives you such great preparation for industry. So plagiarism is strictly penalised. That means if you've taken information from anywhere, anything that you haven't generated yourself, you have got to declare it. And that's done through referencing. Again, nothing to worry about right now. You would get guidance once you join the university on how you reference. There's teams that are dedicated to help you with that. So that's absolutely brilliant. The idea is we are moving away from that situation where you're sat at a desk and you're regurgitating everything that you've managed to cram overnight the night before, to a more interactive way of assessing. Student-teacher relationships. So a lot of students, the very first thing in my sessions, they say, Miss, Ma'am, Ma. I say, please, my name is Martha. So that distance that is traditionally created, particularly, like I said, I'm from Zimbabwe. It used to be Sir, Ma'am, very, very strict lines. But actually in the UKHE, it's Martha, Chandra. There is no distance. Me and you are the same. The only difference is probably the position that we are at that point. But our doors are widely open. You can come, you can book a meeting and sit down with us at any point. That distance that was created, that traditional distance, is obviously removed. So we're seen more as mentors. still obviously professional, and you're also encouraged to engage in debates. So it's not what I'm saying that will always be the correct thing. If you've got something to challenge it, or if you've got a question, you're free to express that and express your own opinions. So it's definitely lowered that power distance. And it's kind of, I like to think it's eliminated, really. And then punctuality, arriving on time for lectures and meetings is mandatory and culturally expected. I will go back to my own example. So, as I said, I'm from Zimbabwe originally. Time sometimes feels like it's a suggestion rather than a requirement. So, for instance, they'd be saying 8 o'clock, and everybody sort of starts trickling in at 9 o'clock. So, absolutely unacceptable culturally in the UK. 9 o'clock means you arrive at 1:45 or 10 to 9 o'clock. So really, really critical things to think about in terms of academic culture. So some of the things you can be thinking about whether moving forward. So then the beauty is what you see in the university is basically kind of mimicking what you'll have in the workplace. So again, in the workplace, you'll have your professionalism and structure. So workplaces are generally often, it's quite, like I said, there's no power distance. It's quite polite tone, very high sense of responsibility. If you're given a project, you kind of have ownership of it. Communication is rather direct, but very polite. You're never rude. There's never any nasty exchanges over the emails, etc. There's equality, so everybody should get the same opportunities. That is really, really a big thing. Hierarchies are typically flatter, so there's not 3, 4, 5, 6 bosses above you. You usually have a line manager who might have their own line manager, so it's quite straightforward. You've got somebody that you can go straight and speak to. So again, that power distance is actually quite, sort of eliminated or minimized. So small talk is a thing. Everybody loves to talk about the weather. Oh, it's very hot today. It's raining today. Oh, is it hot today? Oh, it's hot today. That's your general conversation that you'll have with people. And this is an absolute normal part of building rapport. I used to find it quite bizarre when I first moved to the UK. Like, yeah, it's hot. It's hot. Like, yeah, we know it is hot. Well, we know it's raining today. We know it's snowing today. But then I'm the very first one. The minute I meet somebody, oh, isn't the weather? Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah, what can we do? So definitely part of the rapport. Time management, again, so coming from our educational culture where we've said it's not a suggestion, you've got to be there 10 to 15 minutes earlier. So you need to be really strict in terms of adhering to your schedules. You cannot be missing deadlines, because that then means that you're not reliable. You're not really meeting, the expectations of your job. Work-life balance. So there's a strong emphasis on this and maintaining reasonable work-life balance. So I see some people will say, well, not some, the idea is after 5 o'clock, generally you shouldn't be contacting anybody regarding work. Before 9 o'clock, not necessarily and definitely completely out of question on the weekend, so that you get that rest that your mind really needs. And then networking. So what you're currently doing here today is networking. So well done. First step in the right direction. So you're expected to obviously join societies, attend networking events, utilizing your UK CISA services. So this can really help you in terms of integration and building professional connections. And I tell you what, most of the people that I know that got really good roles or that are in really good positions at the moment, they've gotten them through networking, from somebody saying, oh, I'm going to recommend you at my job. They're looking for this post, etc. So really, really critical that you are networking. So Chandra, after my blabbering, I'll pass that over to you.
Thanks, Martha. Okay, so we've done sort of academia. Now we're going to just talk a bit about personal development. So again, we've got another mentee for you. So please join it.
Right, so if you could scan the barcode, everybody, while we get it up.
Again, I've just put it in the chat just in case it's easier for you to do join via mentee.com.
Yeah. I'll let you all scan before I pop up the mentee on the screen.
So it's just for you to think about, what does personal development mean for you? Because one of the reasons we are assuming that you potentially considering the University of Hertfordshire, coming to the UK in general, to whichever university you end up deciding, but it's for your personal and your professional development. So just say, what does it mean to you?
So we've got 20 people on. Should we give people a few more seconds to join? 21, 22. Okay, I think I'll plonk it on the screen now. Okay. So what do you think personal development means?
Skill development, learning, improving your intellectual level.
Oh,
I can see on the, I can't quite read.
they're disappearing, aren't they? Sorry. Learning new skill improvement mindset and confidence, career growth, education or certification.
Some really good points there.
The upskilling and growth, emotional intelligence, very nice. Cultivating resilience, learning new very nice. Enhancing skills and capabilities, personal development. That's coming up. I quite like that. Very nice.
Well done. These are some really interesting and well thought out. Yeah, help you be creative and improve your intellectual level.
Very good. Brilliant. 1% better every day. Lovely.
Yeah.
Building confidence and improving communication skills.
Goal setting.
Making intentional efforts to grow into the person. Lovely. Personal development. Lush. So we've got 8 responses out of 24, 9 now.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Yes. Ongoing process of improving yourself with skills, habits, and mindset. Fantastic. Yeah. Really, yeah, true. Self-awareness, purpose and direction. Absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you so much to those of you who've contributed. Martha, if you could just skip to slide 14 and then we'll go back to 13 because I think actually
14.
Yeah. So something that we teach is growth mindset, but we're not focusing on the theory today. But both Martha and I, we talked about this for ourselves. Okay, so we've given you 2 quotes here by Nedra Glover Tawwab and Maya Angelou. But yeah, so permit yourself to change your mind when something is no longer working for you. Because I just want you to go back to where we talked about some of the not issues that you can have, but, loneliness or, it's a completely different learning environment. But it's understanding that all your experiences when you come to the UK and you're studying, whether it's at undergraduate or postgraduate in the higher education learning environment, can be challenging. But if you see any of your challenges as a growth opportunity, okay, so this is what Nedra and Maya Angelou, do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. Okay, so it's just thinking about taking a minute to reflect and process can help us rethink instead of react. Stepping out of your comfort zone, which you will all be doing by moving abroad. Martha's already experienced that and shared her own personal experiences. You'll be hearing from some of our alumni, and the challenges that can come with. But this is an opportunity for you to have a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. And with that in mind, if we just go back to slide 13, one of our alumni made a really impactful statement in another presentation that we were doing. And they said that they had a post-it note that when they came to the UK, they wrote down a strength and an area to improve and why they were here. And they kept that post-it note for the duration of the time that they were in the UK. And they said it really helped them on bad days where they were missing home, missing comfort foods and family and friends, or whatever it was. So we really encourage you to write down, note down on your phones, whatever you can on a piece of paper, but think about a strength that you've got that you'll be bringing with you to the UK and something that you'd like to improve. And just think about and reflect, if you bring that with you, if you looked at that during the course of your undergraduate or postgraduate, at the beginning, middle, end, have you, is that still your strength? And have you improved that area? Yeah. Have you developed yourself in that sense? Because these things, they're good reminders for us. Yeah. Sometimes when we're not feeling so great, or it can be a bit challenging, we've got lots of deadlines. It's good just to remind ourselves what we want to do.
And why we're here.
Thanks, Martha.
Right. Then professional development. So what are UK employers looking for? So we've touched on this a little bit. So I assume the reason why we all want to go into HE or higher education is so that we can sort of progress, whether that's going to be further studies, whether that's going to be getting a job. So the question is, what are your employers looking for? What do I need to sharpen during that time I'm doing my undergraduate degree? What do I need to sharpen during the time I'm doing my PG? So definitely communication is a massive, massive one. You would have noticed if you've already started communicating with a lovely international office that you get a lot of communication from them. So it's critical that you're reading everything and you're reading everything thoroughly. Experience, so even small roles count. So even if you are volunteering, cultural awareness is really, really important. Critical thinking, like we mentioned before. Fact checking, if you're using things like AI, which is a big one at the moment in HE. Teamwork is critical. So you'll find that when you come to the university, you'll be put into groups for group work. You'll never have a semester where you don't have group work. And some instances you might be put in a group of people that you may not know. In some instances, maybe may not prefer to be with, but it's really, really good experience and it's good practice, because when you go into the working world, when you go into industry, you don't get to choose who's in your team. You don't get to choose who you work on with, who you work with on any kind of project, but you will be put into teams and you will have to work in teams. That's something you can't avoid. So really, really important that while you're at the university, do make as much of that time as you possibly can. Collaboration as well. So working not only with people in your own classrooms or people in your own teams or organizations, but external partners as well. Networking. So again, something that we've touched on, networking, really, really important. So it's really, really important because it also matters more than many expect. So it's not just for work. And again, like I said, you're already currently doing that by being here. It's important that you network at the university, not just with your fellow students, but make yourself known to tutors, to module leaders in a positive way. So, for example, making sure that you're turning up to your classes on time, that you're engaging with module leaders, with tutors in a positive light. This is really, really helpful because when you come back a year, 2, 3 years for references, etc., that tutor will say, I remember Martha. She was really, really keen. She was really good at engaging. I'll definitely give her that reference. Naturally, we'll give you references, but at least that will be a character reference that will be tailored to you and it will be quite positive because you've given them that positive impression of yourself. So it's something to think about coming to the university. We usually tell our students on induction or onboarding just to say, just engage, make sure that people remember you in a positive light. Also really good. All work and no play makes John a dull boy. So make sure that you're joining societies at the university, not just studying. Remember, balanced mindset is always the healthiest. Apply as well for things like student reps and any kind of roles. It's brilliant because you can put that on your CV. It boosts your CV, so things to think about. And networking also helps you guys with getting good references. Like I said, I touched on references. And also you could think about things like LinkedIn. Most of you probably have a LinkedIn right now, but just making sure that that's quite active and you're truly networking and using it for the purpose that it's meant for. So having said that, think about where obviously you've currently got your current roles or you've just come out of school, whatever. Do you generally feel confident networking? So either you're in a place of, let's say you've come for induction or you've gone to an event, for instance, today, you're all rather quiet, but I quite like that you're engaging in the chat box, which is brilliant. But do you generally feel confident to start engaging with others? I'll just let you all join first and then we'll pop this up on the screen. Okay, so we've got 13 people, so much faster this one.
Fantastic.
Yeah. 14. Come on, guys. So just scan the barcode. Take your phone, scan the barcode. If not, you can go to menti.com, type menti.com in your search bar, and then it will ask you for a code. And the code you use is this one that's appearing. Ooh, can you see the code there? Yeah. The code here, 62965290. Okay, I've got 19 people on now.
Brilliant. I put the Menti in as well.
Thank you.
We've got it.
Lush. Beautiful. And thank you so much for those who that are engaging in the chat. We can see all your responses. It's brilliant to hear from you. Remember, we've said it's not just one-way communication. We want to hear from you. It's critical that we hear those voices, whether virtually or physically. Okay, right, so I'm going to plonk the Menti on the screen now, lovely people. Okay. So do you generally feel confident networking? So you're either very highly confident, depends on the setting, not very confident, confident, or not at all. It's very positive what we see. So most of you are very confident in terms of networking, which is brilliant, because that's definitely an important tool in your toolkit. So you've one step, that's a second step in the right direction. First step was coming today.
But also things like not feeling very confident, that's also okay.
Absolutely
That's
fine.
where it's using the university systems and what they offer you to develop that confidence. We're not all extroverts.
No.
Okay, we're not all, singing and dancing. Some of us are a little bit more quiet and reserved, and that's also okay. That doesn't mean that you can't network. You just have to find your way of networking.
Absolutely.
And like I said, you'll hear from our alumni today, and they'll also discuss, cover these types of things. Okay, Martha, I think if we move on, I'll go through the CVs if that's okay.
Yep.
So another thing to think about, I know we're whizzing through this. Kat has told us that you'll get the recording, so you'll see the slides, but it's things like coming to another country and being clear on what are the expectations for me if I want to work. Okay, so I'm not going to read through these. You can read, and the recording will allow you to see them, but it's the differences. So we've used Nigeria and India because that's sort of the biggest demographic we have on the program that Martha and I deputise on. But, just you can see here sort of personal information. Yeah. So in the UK, do not include photos, date of birth, marital status, religion, or full home address. And Martha has talked, from her personal experience, because we do inductions for our program where, that was the expectation in Zimbabwe. So the university, again, we provide you this information, but there's lots of opportunities and lots of places where you can go and get your CV checked. Am I doing it in accordance with the country that I'm moving to and I'll be studying at if you want those part-time jobs? Okay, so it's making sure that you're aware of these things. Okay, next slide, please. Some examples, just at a quick glance, what are the UK CVs? They want to see your work experience and your education, and sort of, when I say minimal, obviously they need your name and information so they can contact you, but it's not giving lots and lots of information and photos. LinkedIn and networking, again, Martha was talking about that, but it's making contact with alumni. So when you get to the university, you are able to do this because they come to events. We're quite strict on, alumni will give you the information if they're happy for that, otherwise they get inundated. But it is very much about attending events and being proactive. No one at the university, and sometimes we've experienced it with international students, they think they're going to come to the UK, come to a university, and the university is going to provide jobs. And that's not the case. You'll have job fairs. There is at the University of Hertfordshire, for example, the library offers CV services. So it provides you with lots of opportunities, but we classify students as independent learners. You have to take responsibility for your learning and your journey while you're here for however long that is. So now it's alumni stories. I don't know if Kolawole is on the call.
Yes, I'm here.
Fantastic. Welcome.
Okay.
You can come on video, Kolawole. I don't know if you've got access to do it with Kat, but if you're happy just to sort of talk through your slide.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kolawole Ogunshola. I'll be talking about my journey and I'll be giving you some tips. Everyone has something in them, and then my journey uh, has not been an easy one. But one thing is that one needs to just keep moving. I have experience through past pastoral experience, youth coordinator. I've worked in banks, in telecom company. I'm a father of three beautiful girls, a husband of one wife. So why am I telling you this? Every of these things have a way of shaping who, what results or what you want to achieve. So I've been in so many interviews and I have to use my experience as a father, as a husband, as a pastor, as a financial analyst, as a relationship manager, as a frontline person, and all of that. So there is something in everyone that nobody, what I'm trying to say is that nobody is blank. Then I'll be talking again about my biggest mistake. Just like you have been told, time is not on anyone's side at all. You need to start now. 3 weeks ago, I had an interview with a secondary school, the Arc Academy, and then there was a lot of, we have many on that interview, and then we are shortlisted to two. And then I lost out. Well, I was shortlisted to the top two, and I lost out because I had experience teaching in different secondary schools because I didn't stay. I made sure that the agency I'm working with didn't put me in one school. So I had experience teaching in about over 10 schools. And then the other person had experience teaching in about, I think, one or two schools. But he has been doing this for about 3 years. So I came into the UK 2024 December. I started uh, working January, but I didn't start on time. I started looking at teaching as a January 2026. So I was just 4 months, though I had experience doing a lot of teaching in different schools, but I wasn't able to start on time. I didn't win on timing. So, and somebody else was able to take the offer. So what I'm trying to say is that whatsoever you need to do, whatsoever plan you want to, you have, you need to start now. Then the top tip here is for me is that there are a lot of things that you need to learn, unlearn, and relearn. This is the UK, and I give you an example. I have financial background, banking, and all of that. And then one of my friend posted, I think 2 weeks ago, he was talking about portfolio. He was showing his portfolio. He said he had experience in credit management, portfolio, and this thing and that. And then I still remember, I think last week or last 2 week, this popular guy, Martins Lewis, he got an award, I think BAFTA award, and was telling us talking about AI powered share ISA, like you can make investment decisions using AI. And I said, all the portfolio of credit admin, credit analyst, portfolio management, all these things has been automated. So you are in the UK, a lot of those experiences that you think you have been automated. So you need to learn very fast, drop some things, and find a way to move to work with what is on ground. Then finally, what I wish I knew as an international student, there's going to be a lot of ideas coming in, but like I said, we are in the AI period now. You are going to have a lot of ideas, but it is also very important for you to put those ideas together, and execution is what is important. When this training started, you can see the facilitators are using different tools like the Menti to get information from you. You are going to get a lot of ideas, but you need to be able to put them together for you to get your own personal result. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kolawole. We really appreciate that. If any of you have any questions for Kolawole, I'm sure he doesn't mind up until 3 o'clock, maybe answering a few of them. So I'm going to invite Tanya if she's on the call as well. She is. Fantastic. Hi, Tanya.
Hi, Chandra. Hi, everybody. Really nice to see you all.
I'll let you carry on, Tanya. You just introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you so much. I will. Hi, everyone. I am Tanya. I was part of the January 2024 cohort, and I'm also one of the MSc Management alumni, and really happy to be back and speaking to all of you. And it's always great to see my wonderful program team again as well. So just a little bit about myself. Currently, I'm working with UCL as an employer engagement officer. But as my slide says, I had prior experience. I used to work in India. So my experience came from an Indian background. I used to work in human resources, in talent management, learning and development, and somewhat HR strategy consulting. And yes, like Paulo said, that I also had to unlearn and relearn a lot of stuff. So having worked in HR, I had to start again from a blank slate, and that's also perfectly fine. So I did all of this, but when I first started my MSc management degree, I think what I did, what I would advise other people to do is just be extremely proactive and start early and make sure you do things with intention. So don't forget what you're here for and just document it. I know Chandra was showing those sticky notes on that you had. And so in one of those sticky notes, also write your goals and probably just stick it on your laptop or wherever that you see every day. So you are just reminded of the goals that you came here for. Because as an international student, it is not easy to come to a different country, assimilate into a different culture, and assimilate with different people. So it's always good to remind your goals, whether that is just to enhance your career, to learn and get a new degree. And because success looks different for different people, it is good to just remind yourself what success looks for you. Coming to my biggest mistake, and a lot of you have mentioned in Menti that you're really good at networking, which is wonderful. But those of you who are kind of like me, I was really, really shy when I came to the UK. I was an introvert, so networking felt like a humongously daunting task for me because I used to get really flustered when I used to network. And what actually the university taught me is it's not a big deal. When I joined the university, I met a lot of our academics, and I also met a lot of different people. While I was communicating with them, I realized it's quite easy to network. It's just you have to be your authentic self. You just have to ensure that you're confident, and networking did not seem like a very big task for me. So it was just getting really into my role as a student rep, my role as a school community organizer, and also an SEC that really helped me build that network, not just with my peers, but with people from different courses as well. So it's very important that even though you're part of MSc management, you speak to a lot of people from your different course. Don't just stick to your group, because you will not realize how much learning you can get from people that are part of our own course from different backgrounds. And they come with their own experience, and those experiences are very, very profound. So network within your own MSc management program, but also try to network with the wider business school and your program team and other academics, because even in these tiny conversations that you may have with them, you will pick up some very profound insights that will help you not just getting a job or just going into the labor market, but helping enhance your personality, whether that's a professional personality or a personal, sphere that you are working in. So my top tip, like I said, would be to start networking. Yes, it's quite easy to say, but not done, which is why there's always a step-by-step process. You can start networking with just with your classmates, with your peers. Maybe speak to people that you don't really speak to in class. That's the first step. And then gradually go from there and start speaking to others from your program team, others from other different courses. Just approach someone and speak to them, because as a student, you have the luxury of being a student, which means it's okay to make mistakes because you're in, I would say, a safe environment. The university provides you with that safe environment when you can learn. You're here to learn. So you're not just here to learn your marketing, HR, or supply chain. You're also here to learn life skills, which is networking. So the university provides you with that safe space that you can make mistakes. That's how you will actually learn. I failed so many times in networking. I used to go back to my dorm and think, why did I say that? But that's the process. That's how you will learn. So use it, make mistakes. That's how you start, and that's how you improve. So if you don't make mistakes, you will not learn. And what I wish I knew as an international student is that, yes, we come with a lot of maybe work experience with different degrees, but it's okay to feel like you have to start again. There's so many people that are trying to pivot careers at a later stage in their careers, or they're just trying to start going to a different direction. And it is okay to feel like you're starting from scratch. There, because our career journey, our life is, it's always, I would say, dynamic. Nothing is static. So it's completely fine if you feel like, oh, I'm starting from scratch again. As long as you achieve your goals, it doesn't matter if you have to start from scratch. So yeah, that's all I would say. Back to you, Chandra. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. So I can see there are some questions coming in here. And one of the things I just want to say, because I know one of the questions was, how has Tanya overcome her networking issues? So I would say that I'm going to answer not on behalf of Tanya, but I'm going to say because we have had students who, like we said, it's not about being an extrovert or an introvert. It's using what you've got and developing your skill set. So hence the personal and professional development. So if you are someone and you think, I am a bit shy, I'm not one of those people that's going to go out and network, that's where contact, and Tanya's focused on MSc management because our 2 alumni are from our program. But it doesn't matter, because some of you have been asking about BA Business and Finance. It doesn't matter whether you're undergraduate, whatever program you're on, postgraduate, whatever program you're on. And as Tanya said, I mean, we had a big celebration last week. That's where the picture of Martha and I are from, where we were celebrating all the students and the student reps, and all of them talk to each other across different programs because they all get together and they support each other. But sometimes it's finding that academic that you feel is able to boost your confidence and is putting you forward. We think you'd be a really good representative. And that's how you can develop that skill set, okay? So it's not always about being that person that has lots and lots and lots of friends, but it's more about where can I go and feel safe and talk to someone? And actually if they say, you know what, Tanya, you'd be a really good student, but just try and see what happens. And it's that bravery. And again, going back to that post-it note where we said, what's one of your strengths? What's one of your areas for improvement? So it's really important. I can see that Jess has come on the call. So we would like to say thank you to our alumni, because we are finishing at 3:00. So I'll hand over to Jess.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much. What a brilliant session. It's so lovely to hear from the alumni as well. Everybody, please add your questions to the Q&A, and then we can start asking the panelists those as well. So I have a question that's frequently asked for all of you, and maybe Kalawale and Tanya, you could answer this first. What are your top tips for new international students joining the Hertfordshire Business School?
Sure. I can start. Top tips. Okay, I did cover networking as a tip. I think the other one that I would say is because maybe you're joining a master's degree, because that's what I did. Or this is applicable even if you're doing undergraduate, but it's very crucial for you to be proactive. Maybe have a plan from day one, because I remember the first day that I came to my university, I went and met Chandra and Ajla. They were my module leaders, and I thought I would introduce myself and also just get a bit ahead to understand how the teaching and learning works in a different country, because where I come from, we are provided, it's a different learning structure. So I really thought that it would really help me just to understand things well in advance. And that's how I got a lot of opportunities, because I met with the academics, like Chandra said, who guided me and nudged me in the right direction and saw my potential. So that proactivity actually led me to getting opportunities from and within university. So make the most of it. Try as many things as you can that you've never done before. And it's okay to be uncomfortable for some time, because that discomfort is actually going to take you a lot of different places. So I would say just be proactive and just try to experience it all, because our university has a lot to offer in terms of extracurriculars, in terms of the exposure that you may get. So try to make the most of it. Thank you.
And then I'll also add, I think Tanya has been able to talk more on professional, but I would like to talk more on the academics, on the course itself. I think for me, it should be that you should not go to any class without being 2 steps ahead of the class. Make sure that immediately after every class, the library is very close to your class. Make sure that immediately after every class, you go to the library and revise. That's very, very important. If any student will do that, I can assure you that you are going to come out in flying colors. Thank you.
Brilliant top tip. Thank you so much for that. Um, I've got a few questions that people are adding in the Q&A. Thank you, everybody, for that. So, Chandra and Martha, do you have any recommendations for any societies or networking opportunities for the students that would really support them? And also someone's asked, for an undergraduate student, what kind of networking opportunities would they have as well?
So if I go first, I'll say that in terms of what the university offers, there's always things like job fairs that we always advocate. Just go, and because also it's your first introduction to the UK employers, whatever your plan is. So whether you're coming and planning on completing and wanting to stay for a little bit and get some work experience, whether you want to finish your studies and go home, whatever your experience is, like for all of us, we take wherever we go, and hopefully they're very positive. So it's attending, and I'm sure Tanya and Colawole would say the same, attend all of those events, and they are publicized everywhere. In terms of undergraduate, I haven't taught an undergraduate for a while, so I don't know if they do this for undergraduate, but for postgraduate, for example, we've got an exceptional team. We did have some information on the slides, which I'm sure you can whiz through, but we have it's called the PG Future Success, and we have something called Handshake, where there's lots of jobs posted. You can go and get advice on careers. You can get coaching sessions. So it really goes back to the university provides an abundance of things, which can feel overwhelming because there's so much. But again, it's like Tanya said, don't be afraid to try something, and also being uncomfortable for a little while. It's not about doing everything all in one go, but going and attending a fair, booking an appointment with someone. Can you look at my CV? And in terms of networking, Martha, do you want to?
Just thinking from an undergrad point of view, because I module lead on undergrad. I know a student that's just she's secured placement with Mercedes-Benz, with Mercedes, I think. Yeah. So, and I think the main thing she told me she'd done was, again, networking, attending fairs, and she'd gone to meet the Future Success team. So I know they advertise quite a number of placement jobs. So again, just sort of going to the right departments and making sure that you're keeping an eye out, reading your emails. It's a big one, reading your emails, because sometimes you get quite a lot of information, but it's also very valid information. So I would say that's one way to make sure that you're staying on top of networking and sort of staying ahead, preparing yourself for success.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, both. That's really good top tips and advice there as well. Thank you. Tanya, a student has asked, what's it like to study MSc Management in the UK, and what's the kind of potential that people would have after studying that at the university?
Yeah, great question. So I would say that the potential of any course is great because all these courses give you the transferable skills you need at the job. What you're gaining is not just the technical or theoretical knowledge, but you're also gaining the behavioral skills that you will need to do a job. So I would say the potential of all degrees is great. But coming back specifically to MSc Management, we have done some wonderful modules. When I was a student, we started by doing strategic management and entrepreneurship. I remember all of my modules because each of my modules, I think like Martha mentioned, have some sort of group or teamwork involved in it. And when you are working with people from different, with such diverse people, you're not just understanding how things like human resources, marketing, or supply chain works in different countries across the globe, which is a wonderful knowledge to have. So you're not just getting a global perspective, but you're also learning how the thought processes of different people work, and it makes you really creative. So MSc Management to study, it gives you the knowledge to not just be a very, I would say, holistically developed person. You have the knowledge of all these different modules that you can then use to specialize in something. If you want, let's say, to go into marketing, you want to go into SCM, if you want to go into even project management, you need to understand how all these different functions within an organization would work. So from theoretical aspect and academic aspect, you're getting the knowledge holistically of how an organization works that you can transfer in your job. From more of a behavioral aspect, because we have such a wonderful diversity in our course, you get to learn how to work with different people. You get knowledge of various different countries, various different continents, and how these different subject matters work in those different areas, which is again a wonderful knowledge to have and also expands your global exposure, and also how to deal with different people. So it really helps you evolve, not just in your knowledge academically, but also behaviorally. So I think that would capture it all.
Brilliant answer. Thank you so much, Tanya. Fantastic. Chandra and Martha, I wonder if you're able to answer this question. So someone said, is it possible to undertake some short courses whilst they're also studying some of our postgraduate business courses, such as MSc Management?
I would say that depends on the program, because not unfortunately, but I mean, the program is demanding, as I'm sure Tanya and Colin can attest to. But unless those short courses sort of are attached to the program, it's tied into your visa. So that's a little bit of a complicated question. We have had students who said, oh, I'd like to do a language or something like that. And generally it's been, you can't. So I would say, that is linked independently to each program.
Perfect. Thank you, Chandra. And that absolutely makes sense, doesn't it? They'll have lots of modules that they need to be studying. They really do need to be focusing on that as well, just so they can reach their full potential with us. I think we have time really quickly for one final question. So Martha, I'm wondering if you can answer this question for us. As someone said, what can we expect from campus life whilst we're studying at the university?
In the simplest words, is fun. Loads of fun. It's so active on campus, and I think Tanya and Kolawole, you can attest. There's always something happening. The student union's always planning stuff. There's always, I say always, I'll tweak that. There's often food and food vouchers available. So campus life is, I always say to students, make the most of it while you're there. And I always tell students at induction, do not sit with somebody that speaks the same language as you. Do not sit with someone from the same background as you. You've only got, for a master's, about a year, for undergrad about 3 years. Make the most of it. Engage with as many people as you can, because our campus is so diverse in terms of cultural backgrounds, people coming from different places, different understandings. As Tanya said, you'd have had different experience, and you're bringing all of that. So our campus life it's vibrant, it's busy, it's quick though. So you really need to make the most of it. Yeah, that's what I would say. Fun.
Can I just add though, because again, I always think we need to represent everybody. If if you're someone who's more, quiet and doesn't want to do those things, there's also societies where, it's smaller groups. And so, campus life covers what you want from it, what Absolutely. You give, what you take. So don't sit there and think, oh God, I'm not very good at making friends. I don't really want to have 500 million friends. You know what I mean? No, there are lots of things to cover people where, if you're better in smaller groups. But I just want to say, for example, we've had, celebrations like Eid al-Fitr, Diwali, anyway, this celebration we had last week, celebrating everything the students have done and all the different, celebrations. So it's very inclusive. And we really encourage, like Martha says, attend, don't just come and sit. There's a very, very good saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And what that means is, why would you come to the UK and only sit with people from your own country? There's a difference between, needing a bit of comfort and speaking a home language, absolutely. But it's more about the diversification, to fly thousands of miles and be away from everyone that you love and, hit the ground running. And it can be challenging, but, welcome that. Hello, we're always like, you can go on holiday. You'll know people, go on holiday with all these people that you know from across the world.
Free accommodation.
Exactly. We'll stop there, Jess, as I'm conscious it's 3 o'clock.
Thank you so much. Brilliant advice there. And yeah, absolutely. Our campus is absolutely fun and it's lovely to be in. But it is also, if you're slightly quieter, then there are places for you as well. So you will always feel at home when you're on campus. But I'll pass back to Kat now just to close the session. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Jess.
Thank you, Jess.
Well, thank you, everyone. That was a brilliant session. I've learned a lot as well. I'm so sorry if we didn't get a chance to answer your question. If you do have queries or if you think of anything after, please reach out to international@hearts.ac.uk. We'd be happy to take any questions you've got about your application or anything that's come up in this session as well. Thank you so much for everyone who shared their story as well today or shared a bit about student life, what to expect. We'll close the session now. I know we have overrun just slightly, but we can't wait to welcome you to Hearts in September. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
See you in September. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.